Good morning. After the battle at Galwan and the talks between the two countries to try and see how things can be fixed, there's an attempt now to cause damage to Chinese businesses. So we've reported in the past, this is our lead story today. The government plans to put more import duties on Chinese imports. They plan to put certain kind of standard which will weed out certain low-value Chinese imports. This is a move which will certainly raise the cost for doing business for Indians. But the attempt is to give a message to the Chinese government that it's not going to be business as usual till the Chinese start respecting our sovereignty, our borders, and the line of actual control here. In fact, in an interview to our L&T CEO, S.N. Subramaniam makes the same point that stopping Chinese imports is not going to be an easy job. About boycotting Chinese imports is not going to be easy. It's not going to be feasible to completely eliminate them. So, but India is making a start. In fact, some contracts with Chinese firms, such as two in Haryana for in the power sector, are reported to have been scrapped. It's possible that even the part of the Delhi Meerut rapid transport system, where a Chinese company was the L1 bidder, even that may not be awarded. But there's no certainty on that as yet. This is an ADB sponsored project, so we have to see how that goes. And now moving on to COVID. That India's COVID numbers are rising is hardly surprising. But what is really worrying is the fact that despite the large base, India has 4.2 or 4.3 lakh cases already. So despite the large base, the growth rate is once again increasing. For the fourth day running, the growth rate is increasing, which tells you that the peak is clearly nowhere in sight. In the case of Delhi, which accounts for about 10 to 12%, maybe 15 now, 10 to 15% of India's COVID cases, the growth has been, the growth rate is 6.2% in the last 3 days. So that's a very, very large number. And in the case of Delhi, as we report again today, the controversies just don't seem to be going away. There's been controversy over reporting of the deaths. So basically what the Delhi government seems to have done is that every time it was adding up the cumulative number of deaths, it was not adding up the death of that particular day. And the fact that there was a backlog of deaths for a long time made this classification or this misclassification easier. Hopefully that's in the past, fingers crossed. We don't really know as to whether things have been fixed as they should. The good news here is that as far as the testing in Delhi is concerned, ever since Home Minister Amit Shah got into the picture, there has been a dramatic surge in testing levels in India. The other piece of good news is that over the weekend, Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal had come out with a ruling which basically said that nobody could be home quarantined without having at least 5 days of institutional quarantine. So he has scrapped that order. The reason why that order was the reason why the AAP and other people are upset with that order was that they felt that people would stop coming in for testing if they knew that everybody had to go in for the government quarantine facilities, which are not really good at all. Now, the reason for Mr. Baijal's insistence on the institutional quarantine also, you can't blame him actually, is that he felt that one of the reasons why there's such a large spread in Delhi, and as I told you, the growth rate is increasing, he felt that one of the reasons why the growth rate was so much was that A, people are probably breaking the home quarantine. Secondly, it is possible that the home quarantine that was being done was not being done properly, as a result of which other family members were getting the infection and they in turn were spreading it to others. But when other cities like Mumbai are able to do the home quarantining so well, there's really no reason why Delhi can't learn lessons from them. More good news as far as the tackling Corona is concerned. Both Hetero and Cipla have been given approvals to produce Remdesivir, which, as you know, is a drug which has been approved by the DCGI for severe cases of COVID. And a few days ago, Glenmark launched at, I think, 102 or 103 rupees a tablet. It launched its Favipiravir, I don't know whether I got that right, for mild and moderate cases. So basically what you've got is you've got drugs for mild cases and you've got drugs for severe cases. And Delhi Health Minister Satinder Jain, who seemed to be very critical for a while, he was moved away from a government hospital to the Max Hospital. There he was given plasma therapy, and indications are that he seems to be recovering quite well. So in a sense, we are moving closer to some kind of solution, medical solution. The bad news continues as far as the H-1B is concerned. With the US elections fast approaching, President Trump has said that he will announce a new set of restrictions on H-1B visas. So let's see where that goes. Whether there will be some relaxations or some loopholes that allow Indian companies to get away lightly, we don't know. We have to wait and watch. So fingers crossed on that one. Amidst all this bad news, what's the good news? Well, the good news story, our page one anchor today, is that TV advertisement seems to be on the way to getting back to the pre-pandemic level. It's still not quite there, but just to cite some numbers, we used to have about 1.9 crore minutes of advertisement in the week of May 2 to 8. So this had collapsed dramatically due to the pandemic. So from 1 crore minutes in the week of May 2nd, it was up to 2.7 crore in the week of June 6 to 12. So hopefully we'll see some of that in newspapers soon. But more seriously, as we've been saying for a while now, the news of the recovery as well as of the slowdown in the Indian economy is mixed. There are lots of indicators that show that things are looking better. There are indicators that show that things aren't looking bad. So we'll continue to report them on these videos in Financial Express in the print. But I don't think you'll get a clearer picture of what is happening for the next few months at least. Carrying on with the good news, ICRAE Professor Ashok Gulati has written in our lead article in Financial Express today. Basically, he points to the fact that the Food Corporation of India has excess stocks, excess even beyond the buffer stock norm, which themselves, as we've reported in the past, are quite generous in. So Ashok Gulati looks at the level of the buffer stocks and he looks at the value of rice and wheat, and he says that these are worth 150,000 crore rupees. So that's a lot of money. And this is money which the government can get if it starts liquidating those stocks. And apart from blocking a lot of money, as Ashok points out, that the very fact that you need to keep those stocks at that level means that FCI has a large amount of borrowings. If these stocks are liquidated and the borrowing levels are reduced, then that itself will lead to a saving of about 8 to 10,000 crore rupees annually. I called it good news, but there's a bit of bad news here for people who don't read the Financial Express regularly, is that Professor Gulati has been making this suggestion for years and years. I'd go so far as to say even a decade or so here. So there's good news in the sense that we know what the solutions are. There's bad news in the sense that we've known for a long time and we haven't done anything about it. In fact, to give you an example of this, apart from what Ashok has just talked about, at the end of last week, the Prime Minister, the Government of India, initiated a move to start listing LIC. LIC is India's largest insurance company. It could be worth in the region of 8 to 10 lakh crores. So we'll have to see basically how that, what the market values it at. So the government has a lot of money. There's LIC, there's the FCI stock, there's other PSUs. In fact, the day that the Prime Minister announced his 20 lakh crore package, we had made the point that the markets wouldn't really get spooked. The markets and the rating agencies wouldn't really get spooked about the level of debt if the Prime Minister followed this up with credible moves to show that India was serious about reducing its debt. And the way that we said that the Prime Minister could prove his credentials or his sincerity was that you put all the PSUs, all the stock of the PSUs you own in some kind of a mutual fund or an SPV, and you basically declare that on the 1st of every month or the 30th of every month or maybe the 15th, on some prefixed date, X% of the shares in this SPV or this mutual fund will be automatically liquidated and the money will go straight to retire India's debt. So in the past, India's disinvestment program has suffered a lot because the government has kept delaying disinvestment because they felt market conditions weren't ready. So with this solution that we are proposing, it would actually be possible, it would be automatic in fact, that the disinvestment would take place. With the pandemic taking a toll, it's not surprising that ticketing platforms like Book My Show, for example, it's not surprising that ticketing platforms are deep in trouble. In fact, as our story points out today, the industry is looking at an 80% slump in revenues this year. But, and here's the good news, the industry is looking at creating new events, online gaming, skilling, financial planning, yoga, meditation. Who knows? I mean, even videos such as this one could find sponsors. So these are new ways that people are looking at to generate revenues post the pandemic. Not all of them will work, but the fact that industry is working on them shows that one, it continues to be nimble, and it shows that there's a lot of opportunity out there even now. In fact, talking of opportunity, matrimonial sites, we have a story on this one. Matrimonial sites are looking at innovative ways to increase their traffic here. So they have virtual meet and greets. They are offering, all kinds of facilities, pre-sanitized weddings, organizing the caterers, the makeup artists, and things like that. Frankly, if the big Indian wedding can move online, then there is absolutely nothing in India that cannot shift online. That's a lot of good news coming our way. Let's see how that works out. Hope you had a great weekend and are ready to get back to, home. Thank you.